Before she began her Mary Kay journey, independent Senior National Sales Director Julia Burnett saw herself as a corporate person, working several finance-related jobs. Then, a friend introduced her to this Mary Kay opportunity, and slowly, she began to see that this was exactly her direct path to achieving her dreams. One of these dreams including believing in herself, and thought that with that growing belief that she could achieve numerous things, which she did. She achieved numerous courts and circles and even earned top sales director trips. Julia's National, Pamela Waldrop Shaw, instilled in her the vision of what her family's life could be thanks to the Mary Kay values and priorities. Julia's highest monthly commission check so far is over $34,000, and she's a Mary Kay millionaire with over $1 million in commissions. She's achieved Diamond Circle status 3 times, the highest in the $250,000 category. And Julia continues to pass the vision of success all along to her independent national offspring, Leah Lachlan. From the beginning and all through the way, Julia has learned that challenges are opportunities to grow and gain comfort in facing obstacles head on. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to our stage independent Senior National Sales Director, Julia Burnett.
I'm just gonna take my shoes off. All right. Good morning, LA. Oh my gosh, get excited. I wanna ask you all, have you ever hid in a bathroom stall because you were so nervous? So we're a very small club. Well, about 12 years ago, I was invited at this conference to a special reception with Shirley Hutton, who is a legacy in this company. And you had to be a future exec or above to attend. And you can imagine that as I neared the room, my stomach started getting into knots, and I started getting really nervous. And I peered into the room, and I saw all these nationals and directors who had trained me via CDs, and I got really nervous. And so I did what any really confident, highly successful director would do. I hid in the bathroom. I hid in the bathroom, and I literally stood in a bathroom stall until like 30 seconds before it started. And while I was standing in that bathroom stall, my mind became flooded with all these thoughts of, can I go in there? Am I supposed to be here? I don't belong. And you know, it ended up becoming a transformational moment in my Mary Kay journey, because it wasn't any of the training that day that left the impact on me. While it was great, it was now National Sales Director Kim McClure, who at the end made a beeline for me. And she grabbed my hand and she looked me in my eyes with so much love. And I'm not sure if she could sense my insecurity, like I felt like I didn't belong there, but she saw the sign around my neck that said, make me feel important. And by doing so, from a 4-minute investment conversation, a connecting conversation, she watered the seed of greatness inside of me. And I left that reception feeling seen. I walked in feeling invisible, and I walked out feeling visible. It was a transformational moment. Let me ask you a question. How has your Mary Kay journey transformed you? Who would you be today if it wasn't for your Mary Kay? What would you have missed out on in life if it hasn't been for Mary Kay? You know, in 2006 at this very conference, I couldn't attend because I was hooked up to monitors in a hospital for 7 days. I had contracted E. coli on New Year's Eve, and I was 6 months pregnant with my first child, and I was unable to keep any food down for over a week. And I was so sick that when I came home from the hospital, I couldn't even physically walk up the steps of my house. And I wanted to go to a leadership conference so bad. I'd won every single party, and at one point I started ripping monitors off of me, saying, I'm going no matter what. And while I was in the hospital, hospital, National Sales Director Linda Tupin called my hospital room from the conference to check on me. Now that was in the days before smartphones, like when you had to go look up a number in a phone book and go find a phone. But she called my hospital room to check on me. Linda Tupin called my hospital room to check up on me from the conference. I've never forgotten that, and it's left an indelible mark on my life. The year before, when my father-in-law passed away, we received over 100 cards in the mail from my Mary Kay family alone. Most people, I didn't even know who they were from. But my husband's family was astounded at the way my Mary Kay family rallied for love and support around me. The year before that, the very first time I met my beautiful senior NSC, Pamela Shaw, she grabbed my hand and she looked me in the eye and she squinted her eyes and she said, "Julia, so nice to meet you." She said my name. She peered into my soul. I had never been greeted that way before ever in my life. And I began to think, wow, these Mary Kay people are the real deal. You see, the bonds of loyalty to this company for me, they were paid with currency of phone calls. They were paid in currency of love notes, not text messages, but love notes. They were paid in currency and investments of time and conversation. And in a world of technology where we have never been more connected ever, more people have never felt more disconnected and in need of a personal touch and encouragement and community. And that's what you, all of you, a transformational leader, can offer people in a really dark world. This we must never lose. It's the very heart and the foundation of the success of this company. And for me, they were all transformational moments that knit together the threads of what formed a bond between my heart and the women of this company. And you see, this is what's so important about that point. It's because when I went through a dark season, I never doubted what this company stood for. I never doubted if I was supposed to be here because my Mary Kay experience had been so genuine. I could never leave that. I could never find that anywhere else. Where would you find that? And if you don't have that, then you be the giver of that, of those that you lead. And that's the power that you have as a transformational leader. Do you remember when you first got started in Mary Kay? Do you remember your starter kit arriving? Do you remember when it was new? Do you remember when it was fresh and you allowed yourself to dream? I started off so excited. I had unbridled courage. I didn't know I could fail. And then what happened was like a slow fog moving in. Has that ever happened to anyone in this room? And I allowed some critical people to slowly snuff out my light, and the criticism just crushed me. And instead of dealing with it at all, I subconsciously pulled the reins and put limiting beliefs on what was possible for me. And I stayed there for a while. I stayed there all too long. And you see, the past is a great teacher, but it's a terrible master. And in that fog, and that lack of clarity, lies began to take root in my mind that I didn't even realize were there. It came so subtly. Belief that my dream of building a national area and leading leaders was somehow selfish. And it was at this conference, in a class, that Cheryl Warfield began her class with this intense question. What is the lie that you've been believing? Do you have a lie that you've been telling yourself? What was it? What was the first thing that came to your mind when I said that? Do you believe you don't belong here? Do you believe you can't lead? Do you believe you're not good enough? Do you believe you can never do it as well as so-and-so? You don't deserve to be in a Cadillac? You have fear of losing it? And then as only Cheryl could say, in her matter-of-fact voice, she said, your dreams are from God. Where do you think they're from? And I realized at that very moment, as if a jolt of electricity had just gone down my spine, that if God had been the author of that dream, then it's for something greater than me. And so not only is it not selfish, it's not even about me. It was a transformational moment. And about that time, someone in my unit gave me the book, The Prayer of Jabez by Bruce Wilkinson. And in that book, it says to pray the prayer, Lord, increase my territory. And while I thought, well, that's a nice prayer, I didn't really know if it was okay to pray something that would bless me. And so I brought the book to my spiritual counselor, and I'll remember it as clear as day. I walked into her office and I sat down. I held up the book and I said, this book sounds nice, but is it even biblical? And how she responded changed my life. And she looked me square in the eye and she said, tell me about the God you believe in. Has anyone ever asked you that? I couldn't speak. I couldn't even answer in coherent sentences. And she said, I tell you what he could bless. How would the fulfillment of a God-given dream, give others permission to go after their dream? How could he use this platform to speak truth and life into others? How could this rise in leadership be a call for others to stand up and lead? And I was free again, and as if shackles were released from my bones, and I began to run once again full out. When was the last time that you ran full out? Was it DIQ? It was a transformational moment, because here is the deal. You are all transformational leaders. I received that. Do you receive that? That every one of you are a transformational leader. I want you to receive that. I prayed over and over and over to God what he wanted me to share with you, and it was unequivocally consistent that he wants you to know you are each transformational leaders, and he needs you to be a transformational leader because you are light in a really dark world. And I know it sounds radical, and I know, but it's true, because the world around you changes when you change. And you change when you start recognizing the lies that keep you where you are and to take command over your thought life. At Leadership Conference in 2012 in Atlanta, I just got mad. Do you ever just get mad? I got mad. I was mad at myself. I was mad at being at another conference in the same place again. I was mad. And yet another person asking me, when are you going to finish your area? I was mad at the lies I had been believing that were louder than the voice of truth. But I took advantage of the anger. Instead of staying in the anger, I took advantage of it, and I used it as the fuel, as the emotion to take us from where we were to where I knew we wanted to go. And so I made a decision that enough is enough. That's right. And that we were going to finish our area no matter what before seminar, and I let it be made known to my leaders. And I drove home from that conference from Atlanta to Kentucky, 7 hours alone. I cried the entire way home. And I felt God say, baby, I'm calling you out. From this time on, I'm going to expect more from you. There will be no more room to defer down into mediocrity. And about once an hour, in that 7-hour drive, once an hour, I would hear this voice say, what if you don't make it? Do you ever hear that voice? What if you don't make it? I want you to start recognizing that voice, because you know what I did when I heard that voice this time? I decided, oh no, oh no, oh no, no more. And I would immediately shout at the top of my voice in the car, no, we're gonna make it. I had to declare it. I had to yell it. I had to speak authority over that thought. It was a transformational moment. And by the time my car pulled into my driveway, I knew I was different. And I knew to finish the goal that more would be required of me. And so I took personal responsibility, and I got back on the date book. And one day we're making booking calls in my Cadillac and getting a definite no. I hung up the phone, and I had a temper tantrum with myself. And I shouted again at the top of my voice, I don't want to do this! And I so clearly heard God's voice say, if you are willing to suffer, you will be eager to do the will of God. It was a transformational moment. And at seminar that year, we walked across the line. Now with the gift of time and reflection, I look back over this incredible journey, and I am so grateful, just so grateful at the ways that Mary Kay has transformed who I am. But you see, it wasn't all for just me. It's all been preparation for my ultimate assignment as a mother. I've been blessed with beyond measure with 3 real cutie pie little kids, ages 9, 5, and 3. And our oldest, when she was in kindergarten at our teacher conference, the very first thing out of her teacher's mouth to me and my husband were, your child is an outlier. An outlier. We looked at each other, really? You know, the bell curve, the outliers are those on the very edges of the graph. And without painting the picture of the struggle, we went through 3 schools in 4 years. And as she struggled, I watched before my eyes like a wilting flower who was once a happy, cheerful child slowly erode into a sad and anxious child. And if there are any moms out there, if you've ever had a child who struggles, you know as a mom, you carry it right here in your heart all the time. It never leaves you. And sometimes I wonder, as a mother, who would I have been had it not been for Mary Kay? I know I would have been a good mom, a loving mom, but would I have been equipped with the mental stamina, the coping skills, the compassion that my Mary Kay has built inside of me that would be required to give my child what she needed out of a mom? You see, every morning, I line my children up and I have them repeat affirmations. I can do hard things. I am blessed and highly favored. I am a leader. I add value wherever I go, and I am confident, courageous, and I make friends easily. I learned that in Mary Kay. And you see, because of the sum of all these transformational moments over my Mary Kay business, I have become a transformational mom. And I can hold my daughter's face and I can speak life into her little 9-year-old soul, and I can say, God's got his hands on you. He is going to use your gifting to change the world. I have the confidence to boldly look at her teacher and say, I don't care how much she learns. I only care about her confidence. You protect her confidence, because if you're confident, you can do anything. I am mentally tough. I'm as tough as nails. But before, when my child would struggle, I would fear forward. I would catastrophize. Where is all this headed? And I would worry for her future. And you see, all the private conversations that you have with yourself, they're actually not private at all, because eventually everyone will know what you're thinking, because it'll play out in your life. It'll manifest in your life because you're subconsciously thinking that. You don't think anyone will follow you, then they won't. You're afraid of losing your car, your position, your title, then you probably will. You fall into complacency that this year will be just like last year, then it will. And a mentor of mine in Mary Kay, she grabbed me. She said, change the story. When you envision her, you picture her at her highest and her best. And a light went off. I thought, oh my gosh, I've learned this in Mary Kay. This is what I've done 1,000 times with my consultants. When I think of my consultants, I imagine them. I only see my people as the best they can be. At times I've seen them before where they absolutely shine. Like, I don't even see my people's weaknesses. I don't even see their shortcomings. I have visions of what they can become, and that's what I speak to them. And like a switch going off in my mind, I thought, I can do this for my children. And when I would catch myself fearing forward again, this time I would recognize it. And I would say, no, I reject that. That is not going to be her story. And I would envision her thriving and flourishing. It was a constant battle. When a negative thought would come, and I would again say, no, I reject that. That is not going to be her story. That is not going to be how this goes. And a few weeks ago, I wrote out my 5-year goals for my children, who I wanted them to become, and the character I wanted to cultivate in their heart. And after I wrote it out, I reread it, and I gasped. Because without even needing to consciously override a fear, without it even crossing my mind, I automatically, subconsciously had written out a vision of her at her highest and best, a vision of her flourishing and thriving without hesitation. And I knew at that very moment I had changed my daughter's future, because I had changed her story here. Thank you, Mary Kay. It was a transformational moment. You know, you're transformational women because your words have the ability to change someone else's story. When your DIQ comes to you with fear in her eyes and says, I don't know how we're going to make it, is part of your response, no, I reject that. That's not going to be your story. And then painting the picture of how you see her proceeding valiantly. How are you grabbing hold of the power and the authority that you've been given? When you leave here, you have a decision to make, and you already know what it is, and you already know the answer. And some of you are talking to yourself in a way you would never talk to someone else. And as you leave here excited and having visions, and then you get home and that voice comes back and says, what if I don't make it? What's your response going to be? Will it be this powerless repeat of last year? Or will it be, no, I reject that. That is not going to be my story. And you envision yourself doing the work and envision yourself thriving and flourishing. I believe Mary Kay transforms lives because I have lived it. From hiding in a bathroom stall to shaking the gates of hell. I don't even recognize myself anymore. May you go out of here with an awakened spirit that causes the giant inside of you to rise up and stand in the authority of your new story. Because, girlfriend, your new story starts right now. God bless you.